Well, we just spent 1 month in Buenos Aires and it was a little more expensive than we anticipated. So we thought, let's get out of the big city and we headed towards Mendoza and Cordoba, Argentina. Were they more affordable? Well, we're going to see because in February, we also had a few unexpected costs that kind of came up out of nowhere. So let's see if we were able to stick to our $3,500 a month budget.
We do have a few categories that you go through every single month. And for this month specifically, there are two categories that we did not have to spend any money at all. The first one it is clothing and personal items, and the second one, medical. So zero.
Yeah. And often we say that entertainment is eating out for us, but this month we actually had some entertainment. As many of you know, Jean and I love wine, and Mendoza is known as the Malbec capital of the world. So we couldn't very well go to Mendoza and not try out some of their wine. So one day we headed out to Maipú and did a winery tour at Argentina Winery. It was fantastic. This particular winery has been around since the late 1800s and owned by the same family since then. So one of the owners actually gave us a tour of the winery and then helped us with the actual tasting as well. So we spent $15 on this particular experience, the tour and the tasting, and we think that the $15 we spent this month for entertainment was well worth it. We also did a bunch of free things this month. We found a fabulous park in Mendoza where we spent countless hours walking and hiking. We walked all around the city looking at the markets and the different cafes and cute little side streets that were there. So we did do some other entertainment things this month that didn't cost any money.
Yeah. The other category that we have, it is going to be cell phones. We do have two lines with Tello. And this month as well, we had another one, which is our data plan. We do use Airalo as a data plan, and this is the second time since since April of 2024 when we actually need to re-up our plan. In total, we spent $82.
Yeah, I think some people think that this particular plan, because we got the world data plan with Airalo, some people think that it's more expensive. It is more expensive, but honestly, it works everywhere we've been. So we don't have to be switching eSIMs each time we land in a new country. And it's lasted, like Jean said, the last time we added any data to it was July.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, as soon as we get off the plane and then we have to book a cab and do everything else in between, check the address by using Airalo, we are good to go. So I definitely recommend if you guys can use it.
Yeah. And as you can imagine, traveling to different countries, sleeping in different beds, sitting in planes, trains, all sorts of different types of travel, it can have a toll on your body. And that's what happened this month. So Jean went for 2 massages this month. Each was about $50 US for an hour massage. And in total for personal care, we spent $115.
Yeah, and you might be asking, okay, where did you get those massages? It was actually Mendoza. Basically, the majority of things that we did were in Mendoza. And it comes the next one, which is fees and charges. We always wanted to be sharing with you all of our costs because we know it's important. We know that this is something that you guys are always looking forward to seeing, and it is not going to be different this month because we have another annual fee of a credit card. This time it is the American Express Personal Green Card, and we have to spend $150 for the annual fee. Now we are working towards our minimum spending, which is going to give us, if I'm not mistaken, 40,000 membership rewards points.
Yeah, and just as a quick side note, this particular card is excellent for travelers because you earn 3 times the points in pretty much your daily activities, eating out, travel. What are the other ones? There's a bunch of 3x categories. Anyways, it's excellent for travelers because you're always earning 3 points for every dollar you're spending.
Yeah, and you might be asking, where is this credit card? It's actually the American Express Green Card from the United States. And we are doing this in a specific order because, I mean, it's an insider tip for you guys. If you're able to, there are basically 3 cards that you're going to be working on. The first one is the American Express Green. The next one is going to be the Gold, and the next one is going to be the Platinum. We are not going to do all of them on the same year, but we have to start with the Green Card first.
Yeah. So the next category is usually one of our top 3 categories, and this month it's not. Groceries came in at $171. We did do quite a bit of cooking this month. We had an Airbnb that had a kitchen, as well as an apartment hotel that also had a small kitchen to it. We spent $171, which doesn't actually seem like a lot, but we did actually eat in quite a few meals, so not too bad. But before we go any further, because it used to be one of our top categories, which category are you guys anticipating we spent the most on this month? It might surprise you. So let us know in the comments down below. Which category do you think was our most expensive in February?
Yeah, moving forward, the next category is going to be health insurance. We do have a plan with Safety Wing, which does cost us $237 per month. In your case, it might be different because they do take into consideration other factors such as age and your preconditions and stuff like this. But for both of us, $237.
Yeah. The next category generally isn't in our top 3, but this month it did make it because we had to make our way from Buenos Aires up to Mendoza, over to Cordoba, and then back down to Buenos Aires. So we did a lot of internal travel within Argentina this month, and it all just sort of added up. So what did we do? We flew from Buenos Aires to Mendoza, from Mendoza to Cordoba, and the original plan had been to take an overnight train from Cordoba back down to Buenos Aires, just as something different to do, a different experience to have. However, through a little bit of a scheduling mix-up, we believed that the train was going to arrive at 7 a.m. It actually was arriving at 5 p.m. on the day that we were going to be leaving to come to Uruguay. So we would have missed our connecting ferry. So at the last minute, 6 hours before we actually hopped on a flight, we booked a plane from Cordoba back to Buenos Aires so that we wouldn't miss the ferry. All of that sort of added up over the course of the month, and we ended up spending $723 on transportation and travel this month.
On this specific case, we did not use any points at all. First of all, as Christine said, it was just 5 or 6 hours before our flight. All that we wanted to do is make sure that we are not going to miss the ferry. So that's why we end up paying cash. However, even with paying in cash, we received points back because we did use the right credit card.
That's right. And now is the biggest surprise of all. If you guys have been following us for any time, we have been giving you our numbers every month since we started traveling full-time in April. And every single month, eating out is our biggest category. Well, not this month. This month, it comes in at the second largest category. We ate out in Mendoza a total of 16 times, and we ate out in Cordoba 10 times. So in total, we spent $944 over the course of the month eating out at different restaurants. Drinks and ice creams and things like that, right?
Yeah. So it's basically every time that we go out and we eat something, it's included on this category. So the next one, the biggest one for this month is accommodation. What happened for accommodation?
Well, accommodation had another little bit of a mix-up this month, and I actually ended our Airbnb reservation one day prior to when we were flying to Mendoza. So
It's not I, it's we. I don't agree. It's both of us.
So we would have been homeless for a night. So it wasn't too big a deal. We contacted the Airbnb host and were able to extend our reservation one more night. But it did add an additional $41 to that accommodation cost for the month. And from there, we stayed in another Airbnb in Mendoza. It was great. It was it had everything we needed. It was really close to a beautiful park. There was tons of restaurants close by, and it was in a fairly walkable section of the city. So it was quite nice. From there, we actually decided to take a small little vacation, if you want to call it that. And we booked ourselves into the Park Hyatt in Mendoza for 3 nights. This was really great. We had breakfast included with this particular rate. We paid points for the nights. There was a beautiful pool. It was just a nice little relaxing time for 3 days, which we truly appreciated. And then when we got to Cordoba, we stayed in an apartment hotel for the very first time. We'd never stayed in one of these before. And it was good. It had everything we needed. I wouldn't say it was the most comfortable of accommodations.
No, Not at all. And for this apart hotel in Cordoba, we actually did have breakfast included.
Yeah, that also had breakfast included, which helps with the eating out cost, I think.
It does help with the eating out cost, but staying on this place for so many days and having the same breakfast every single day, I was not sure it was that good. But hey, it's free. I cannot complain about that. So that's good. But in total, we spent $1,041.
Right. And like Jean mentioned before, if you've been paying attention, we've been putting all the point accumulations next to the total that we spent each month. And that's because we truly believe that points and miles is a underutilized income stream for all of us, especially those of us that are traveling or that can utilize these different point multiplier categories on our credit cards. So if you've been adding up along with the other totals, you're going to notice that we received 12,882 points and miles for the money that we were going to be spending anyway. So we are still accumulating points and miles to offset travel costs in the future.
Yes. Now it's time to summarize how much we spent on February 2025. In total, we spent $3,478. If you want to do a math and see what is our average per day, it's $124. This is, of course, for both of us. For those of you single or solo travelers, you are going to be spent, I'm going to say maybe between 25 to 35% less.
Yeah. So was Mendoza and Cordoba cheaper than Buenos Aires? In our opinion, it was. Even though the total was slightly more than we spent for the entire month in Buenos Aires, overall, the costs associated to food and accommodation were cheaper. And if you took out the transportation and travel, if you didn't move around quite as much as we did, overall, you would be spending less than you would in Buenos Aires. So if you're at all interested in how much we spent in Buenos Aires for the month, check out the video on your screen now and make sure you stick around because this month we're in Uruguay. So how does that compare to Buenos Aires or Mendoza?
Bye.